The views expressed on the following program do not necessarily reflect the views of Money Radio staff, management, or advertisers, and do not represent an offer to buy or sell any securities. Some interviews heard on this program may be sponsored by the participants. It's time for Health Futures with Cypress HomeCare Solutions, Bob Roth. This is Arizona's only show dedicated to providing you with expert advice on how to live a longer, healthier, and happier life. To learn more, call 602-264-8009. That's 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Bob Roth.
Good afternoon. You're listening to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. I'm your host, Bob Roth, and it must be Friday, and indeed it is. We're coming at you live from the Scottsdale Air Park. You're listening here live from the Money Radio Studios, 1510 AM, 105.3 FM, and the World Wide Web, moneyradio1510.com. And if this is the first time you're tuning into our show, Health Futures is about how our older adult population can live a healthier, happier life. And how do we do this? We do this by bringing extraordinary guests to the show. So I have up here for the fifth time, he tells me, he says he gets a jacket for it. I've got Kent Dix. He is the founder, CEO, president, the leader of Life 365, Inc. Kent Dix, welcome back.
Yeah, thanks, Bob. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Well, it's good to have you back. And, you know, for me, I talk about the delivery of care into the future. And I really, truly believe that home will be the center of care. And you are a innovator. You and I had some discussions earlier today about being a disruptor. You created a company back over a dozen years ago that you have spun off and sold, which was a disruptor in MedApps. And I'd love for you, just if you could, for our listeners, those that didn't hear you the four times before, tell us a little bit about what you're doing with Life 365, because I believe Life 365 will enable our older adult population to do what they want to do, and that is to age successfully in place so that home will truly be the center of care.
Yeah, well, you actually took the word from me. So enable is our mission, enablement. Interoperability is too, but that's more of a technical term. But, you know, you and I are, you know, in the industry and working with seniors and technology every single day. But the consumers are loudly telling us what they want. I mean, we told, you know, the marketplace that we want to, once we're showed it could be possible, to be able to go through and do transportation differently. So Uber and Lyft came, right? We wanted to receive things differently at our doorstep and on our terms. So Amazon came, right, and became really big. And Airbnb shook up the hospitality industry, right? Same thing's going to happen in healthcare. I mean, we've talked about this before, that 90% of people actually can't afford to live in independent or assisted living. They just can't, right? And 90% don't want to potentially live outside of their home. A majority of people just don't want to be in the hospital on a regular basis. And sometimes it's a little bit complicated and risky to be in the hospital too, because you can walk away with some nasty stuff, right, as well.
Yes, indeed.
So the consumers are telling us, right, that, you know, they need and want to feel safe, secure, and cared for. And I always say, in a non-creepy way, they don't want cameras all over the place. They don't want sons and daughters peeking at them and saying, hey, why'd you open that refrigerator 20 times yesterday? They want, you know, to live life on their terms. And so that's why we call the company Life 365. It's life on your terms all year long.
Life on your terms all year long. I gave a little tease for our listeners. You are not new to the healthcare space. And I want you to, if you can back it up a little bit, talk about how you came into the healthcare space and what you've done to innovate. And then I want you to talk a little bit about what you're doing with Life 365, Inc.
Yeah, it's actually just probably a little bit of an accident how I came into the healthcare space, because my first company was a staffing company. I was a career guy working for American Express and Texas Instruments and a tech guy, and I left American Express here in the Valley, and
were you a programmer?
I was, right?
Wow.
But my management will not let me program anymore. They just won't, right? The kids do it differently nowadays, so they're not looking at my code.
So it's not BASIC and Fortran?
No, or COBOL or DB2 or any of that kind of stuff. These are things that you can carry around in your pocket, right? Instead of sitting in major warehouses that are out there or data centers. The thing that I saw when even doing the staffing company, we transitioned and started doing some top secret work. And we started looking at the things that are going to be done remotely, right, from a distance. And I'm not giving you secrets away, but they're going to be done from a distance. And part of the things that we started looking at is the advent of the smartphone was starting to come out, right, at the time. Actually, it wasn't even out yet, but it was a flip phone, a phone. Could we start running, use that wireless connectivity, that computer that's in most people's pockets that they're going to be carrying around? Could we start using that for health, right, to do that? And that's where we kind of incubated and started off with MedApps, right, from that. So if a lot of people really don't know what remote patient monitoring is. And remote patient monitoring is the ability for people to be connected, typically at home, to devices like scales and blood pressure and glucose and other things, through a wireless connectivity like a tablet or a smartphone, or some people use IoT devices, if you know what that is.
Internet of Things to come?
It is.
Okay.
Right. Now they're called Internet of Medical Things, right?
Okay.
IOMTs, right, that are out there. But they connect wirelessly to these devices, and they collect the data, and they send it into the cloud or into where your doctor can see it.
And I just want for our audience to hear this. You're talking about remote patient monitoring. We're not talking about telemedicine, right? Because both of them are very different.
Right, they are. So there's telehealth and there's telemedicine, and I don't want to get into the real weeds with that. But remote patient monitoring, is basically putting these devices at home. So if you have, let's just say you or a loved one have, congestive heart failure, God forbid. A doctor may want to have you take your blood pressure on a regular basis. If you're diabetic, they may want to look at your glucose, but they definitely want to look at your weight to see if you're actually gaining weight in a very short time frame, because that's bad for your heart, right? And they want to be able to get those fluids off of you as well. If you don't get those fluids off, then guess what? You're probably heading back to the emergency room, right? And maybe even a hospitalization. So if we can see ahead of time that you're compliant, but you're gaining weight, we can have a nurse practitioner or even a PA or a doctor call you and say, have you taken your Lasix? No, I ran out of my Lasix. Well, let's get it refilled for you. Or let's send somebody out to actually, help with maybe even a Lasix drip, right, that's out there as well. So remote patient monitoring allows you to stay in your home. We're trying to prevent you from going back in the hospital. It could be for dialysis. It could be for, diabetes. It could be for post-operative surgery. There's a lot of different things you use remote patient monitoring for. And the history of remote patient monitoring used to be that you had these big boxes that were expensive that plugged into phone lines and were wired to all these devices. So it was costly and it was very cumbersome to be able to go out and deploy with patients. That's remote patient monitoring 1. Remote patient monitoring 2 generation is IoT devices like we talked about, wireless technology like smartphones or tablets, and being able to connect wirelessly to these devices and the data into the back end. We were the thought leaders in that space from my previous company with MedApps, and then we're also the thought leaders now in remote patient monitoring 3. Which is disposable wearable devices, disposable sensors that get their instructions from the cloud. They can actually be used and then tossed away or thrown away.
Wow.
So it allows us to go to a variety of patients out there in a cost-effective way.
It's fascinating how far we've come. I mean, when you talk about remote patient monitoring 1, 2, and 3, how many years are we talking about? The last 20 years, 15 years?
It's probably 15 to 20 years.
And this third one, that's all happened in the last, couple years?
It's now just starting to emerge. It's probably about 3 years away before it starts getting some traction.
Some cutting-edge stuff from Kent Dix from Life 365. Got a little AC/DC taking us out. That's very cool. You and I are from the same era.
Yep.
So we're going to come back with a little Back in Black in the second session. Stick around. You're listening to Health Futures. I've got Kent Dix here in the studio. Life 365. We will be right back.
Financial Words of Wisdom with Market Wrap host Mo Ansari.
Staying out of the market is the most dangerous thing you can do for your financial future.
If you continue to spend like a drunken sailor, you're going to run out of money. That's the reality. This is not poker. This is your financial future.
It's helpful financial food for thought on your drive home with a host who tells it like it is. Market Wrap with Mo Ansari.
Catch Market Wrap on Money Radio 1510 and 105.3 Monday through Friday at 5 p.m.
I can't believe it.
That Gerald is presenting the quarterly budget report with finger puppets?
Look, here comes a 1.7% decrease in fixed overhead. Hello, everybody.
No, I can't believe how easy it was to save hundreds of dollars on my car insurance with Geico.
Who are you? The projected increase in organic Q3 revenue. Hooray!
Believe it, Geico could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Are you sick and tired of hearing, don't buy an annuity until you've spoken to the so-called experts? If so, call 800-957-5604, extension 200, to learn the concept of a principal-protected, low-cost, new generation annuity and the various options. Listen to Secured Financial Solutions every Monday and Thursday at 1 p.m. on this station to prevent a derailed retirement and from purchasing the wrong annuity, especially the high-risk, high-fee variable annuity and complex proprietary index annuities. Secured Financial Solutions will help you understand the difference between true stated guarantees and non-guaranteed returns. Call 800-957-5604, extension 200, and visit dreamretire.com.
Investment advisory services offered through Virtue Capital Management, LLC, VCM, and Registered Investment Advisor. VCM and Secured Financial Solutions, LLC are independent of each other. Annuities are insurance products, backed by the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the insuring insurance company. Information provided is not intended as tax or legal advice and should not be relied on as such. You are encouraged to seek tax or legal advice from an independent professional.
Dell's semi-annual sale saves businesses up to 45% on computers with Intel Core processors. Just call 877-BUY-DELL. That's 877-BUY-DELL, or visit Dell.com/business deals.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress HomeCare Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. You're listening to Health Futures, taking stock in you. I'm Bob Roth, your host, and if you're just tuning in, I've got fifth-time guest. He does get the gold jacket.
Yeah, where's my jacket?
I know. Well, it's on order.
Okay.
You know what? I had to size you up today.
Alex Baldwin got a jacket, right, on SNL, so come on.
Ken Dix from Life 365 Inc. And if you're just tuning in, Life 365 Inc., how would you describe your company?
Simplicity.
Simplicity.
Right. Simplicity of actually trying to connect people to the doctors and staying in their home.
And basically, when we kicked off our show today, we talked about how both of us see a world where home is going to be the center of care, and we know that our aging population, over 90%, 9 out of 10, want to age at home. Unfortunately, not everybody can, but it is innovations like Life 365 and what they're doing is going to enable people to do so. So we talked about a lot of different things, and, you know, one of the things that you talked about was connecting in the home, and you talked about remote patient monitoring. You talked about 1, 2, and 3, and the last one, the third phase, has a lot of disposable apparatuses that connect. I think it's fascinating, and you know, at the break, you gave me an idea of some of the things that we are talking about. If you wouldn't mind, share with our audience, please.
Yeah, I think we're at. I know we're at an inflection point in healthcare. Right, we're absolutely broken. We're going to approach a $5 trillion spend, right, over the next 3 to 4 years. Wow. Right, we're at $3.5 trillion right now, $3.6 trillion. We're going to go to a $6 trillion spend probably by 2026, 2027 range. And when you start talking about 18% of your GDP going up to 22% of your GDP, it's not sustainable, right,
no,
to do that. So you've got to do something differently. I can't sit here as an entrepreneur and go through and say, I'm going to try to figure out how to make more money for healthcare. I'm going to go through and try to find how I can deliver better quality of health care, access to health care, especially in our rural communities and underserved communities, and try to do it extremely affordable. So part of the things we talk about from the third generation of remote patient monitoring is that we want to do preventive, right, as well. We want to be able to get, to a large population of patients that may be newly chronic. They maybe just now have an A1C that's going above 6 or maybe 6.5. They're not maybe full-on diabetic yet, or maybe they're now just becoming diabetic, but they're not incurring a lot of cost yet. Why are we waiting to use this technology until they get to be high risk?
Before it becomes a crisis.
And most people in this audience may not even know that 5% of the people in the U.S. consume 50% of our healthcare cost. Only 5%, right, do that. So how can we get to the people that aren't spending money, right, quite yet? We've learned that we've got smartphones, we've got a computer in our pocket, and we can be connected. But you know what? We're not finding consumers are really wanting to go through and embrace in their healthcare and use their smartphones and in a general principle. And especially potentially in our real senior population, right? Even people that are approaching palliative care. Are they downloading apps and putting them on smartphones? The answer is maybe, but maybe not. So we've got to have a variety of solutions to try to engage in people that aren't spending a lot of money in the space yet, people that may not have technology around them. We need to be connected to them some way. One solution doesn't fit all. If you build it, they may not come, right? Let's get all the rhetoric out of the way, right?
Hey, you're from Iowa. Of course you get that
There
one.
you go.
Hey.
There you go.
You been in that field?
I haven't. I've been in cornfields, but not that one. But, that's what the third generation is about. And then the other thing, think about ASU, think about, Mayo Clinic, think about a lot of the great universities that are out there, Stanford and others, that are creating technology that are coming out of the labs. And a lot of times it's disparate. It's single, right? They may create a really good sensor to look at your blood pressure or your oxygen saturation or your creatinine levels. But nothing blends it all together holistically into a solution that's consumable by patients, right, to do. And that's what we step up to do, is to work with technology and sensor providers and other people to be able to bundle solutions together onto a common platform so it makes sense to deploy it at home. It's going to be cost effective.
A single repository where it all comes in together through Life 365. And I think you told me there's over 300 apparatuses that you can connect to. So it's not one single one that you can push up to the cloud.
Yeah, so you have to look at data a couple different ways. The biometric side of the data, whether it's blood pressure or weight or glucose or other things, we interface to around 300 different medical devices. But collecting data from home is more than biometric. It's social, it's behavioral, it's economic, it's around security, right, as well. That's why
it's environmental. You've shared that with me too.
It is, and I could go through and get a blood pressure reading of 160 over 110 from my mom, but it's out of range. It's not normal for her. But what was life in context? What was the context of the reading? Right? Was it cold in her house? Right? Was it? Did she order her medication? Did she order her food, right? There's a lot of different things that kind of go into the behavioral side and the social side that affect, the biometric side. And there are people in this town like Susan Courts, who we've had on the show, right?
Absolutely.
And Susan does a great job with health providers and going through and saying, I want to look at social first, then behavioral, then I want to look at biometric. But it's all about data. It's all about getting that data in a cost-effective, non-creepy way to be able to connect people outside of, the hospital at home, to be able to personalize services and care for them that meet their needs.
Personalize. Also, with data, we can predict outcomes. And we can intervene before an event could happen, right? I mean, you're getting all kinds of readings, and if you dig deep enough, you may, like you said with the CHF patient, you may avert an admission into a hospital.
Yeah, and that's actually true.
And you can get a nurse to come out. You can get a therapist to come out. You can get most anybody to come out into the home.
Yeah, and I think it's important to note that, I don't want to be a sledgehammer and see everything as a nail, right? And especially in healthcare, people engage different ways. From that, it may take a little bit of we call a nudge, right? Just nudge somebody to take their medication or to be compliant and get back into their normal routine. And it may take more than a nudge, maybe monitoring them on a regular basis or sending somebody out the home to be able to get them, to be more compliant and healthy in their lives, right? I know personally, my mom is, I talk about her a lot, is now what we call back into the devil's triangle, which is going from home into the hospital, into the nursing home or SNF, skilled nursing facility to get some care, then home with home health care.
And then do it all over again.
Because that's how she gets care at home, right, to do that. That's how the system's kind of working right now. And a lot of people are trying to include our relationship with AMR Ambulance, right, the nation's largest ambulance company. They don't want to always be picking up patients and taking them to the emergency room and admitting them because there's a cost in doing all that. In fact, AMR has a program in Washington, D.C. They had one woman that was calling every single day to be picked up and because she was hungry and taking her to the hospital because they have to pick her up. They now started doing over, I think now, 200,000 Lyft rides. That when somebody calls 911, they go through a triaging and trying to determine exactly if it's emergent or not, right, from that, and determine what level of care they need.
And when you say Lyft, L-Y-F-T, right?
Yeah.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Uber and Lyft. So Uber and Lyft are getting into healthcare, right?
Oh, they already are.
Yeah, they're into healthcare. People that are now entering the car at Uber and Lyft are now patients, right, that are there.
Well, Uber and Lyft have made an agreement here with our state's Access program.
Yep.
So Access, and I give kudos to Jamie Snyder, who saw that as an opportunity, because when patients who may not have the ability for transportation to get to a doctor's office can't get to a doctor's office, they can intervene with Lyft and Uber to get them there. Otherwise, if they don't get there, then they're going to have an event happen, and it's going to cost our state a lot of money,
right,
if they go into an acute setting.
I really actually applaud the people that are out there trying to provide health care in a non-traditional way, right, to be able to do that. There's a lot of restrictions around incentives, right, and how you incent a patient and providers and everything else with it as well. But, sometimes patients actually respond better to incentives. We want to be hypercritical or hypersensitive to, fraud and abuse and waste and all that stuff that's out there. But we're smart people, too. And we know if we can use an incentive, right, to have somebody take their medication and it stops the hospitalization, we as taxpayers are way much farther ahead.
Well, and I'll leave this as we get ready to hit halftime here. Institutions like Banner, and I served on their board for 10 years, have really understood that people have choice. And they've changed their model to be more consumer-driven. They call it the Imaginarium product. So they want to get out there and they want to engage with consumers because consumers have choice. And I think you and I are part of that baby boomer generation. And we analyze, we look, and we decide, and we have choice.
Right.
And I think our seniors want to stay at home. I know us as boomers, we want to stay at home.
Yep.
And I think you're on to something, and I want to learn a little bit more about Life 365. I also want to talk about what you see for 2020 and beyond.
Well, I want life on my terms.
Exactly. You've been listening to Health Futures. It's halftime. We'll be right back.
As we reach the bottom of the hour, we pause for a look at the world's news. Then we're back with Money Talk. We're Money Radio 1510 AM and 105.3 FM.
Former Dallas cop Amber Geiger is on the stand today. She contends she shot and killed an innocent man when she mistakenly went into his apartment thinking it was hers.
That I shot an innocent man. He didn't deserve. I was in my apartment.
When you fired that shot, where did you think you were?
Inside my apartment.
Geiger broke down on the stand and said she wishes he had been one with the gun and she had died. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell believes if the House goes ahead and impeaches President Trump, the Senate has no choice but to conduct a trial to determine whether the president is removed from office. The city of Columbus, Ohio, has reached a $450,000 settlement with Stormy Daniels over the porn actress arrested at a strip club. She alleged that officers conspired to retaliate against her because she claimed to have had sex with the president before he was in office. I'm Mike Moss.
This is happening. Our busy company's buzzing like the hornet's nest in the tree outside. Then Tina walks in.
We've got a projections problem, Brian. Management's given us crazy numbers to hit and not enough crew to handle it.
I spring into action like a human hornet and jump on Upwork. I book a team of remote freelance pros, each ready to start immediately. And those projections, with Upwork, this is happening. Hey, Tina, want to get lunch?
Thanks, but there's hornets outside.
Upwork. Hire freelancers, make things happen.
At Principal, we get it. You have big plans for your money, but sometimes life has something else in mind. There are twists and turns you never see coming. Twists like job transfers and turns like new family members. Life doesn't always go according to plan. We can help you plan for that. Principal. Investments, retirement, insurance.
Principal National Life and Principal Life Insurance Companies, Principal Global Investors, Principal Securities, Inc. Member SIPC, member companies of Principal, Des Moines, Iowa.
If you're still working, you're still making money. But what about retirement? Make sure you have reliable income then, too. Keep listening to your Money Radio experts to find out how.
Want to save time and money? Walmart has free 2-day delivery with no membership fees. That's right, free delivery and no membership fees, unlike some of the other guys. Millions of items are eligible. Think about it. Whatever you need delivered right to your door for free. What are you going to do with your extra time? Catch up on your favorite show? Maybe just relax and take a nap. Whatever it is, you have the time because of Walmart's no-fee 2-day delivery. 2-day business shipping, minimum $35 order, restrictions apply.
Are you sick and tired of hearing, don't buy an annuity until you've spoken to the so-called experts? If so, call 800-957-5604, extension 200, to learn the concept of a principal-protected, low-cost, new generation annuity and the various options. Listen to Secured Financial Solutions every Monday and Thursday at 1 p.m. on this station to prevent a derailed retirement and from purchasing the wrong annuity, especially the high-risk, high-fee variable annuity and complex proprietary index annuities. Secured Financial Solutions will help you understand the difference between true stated guarantees and non-guaranteed returns. Call 800-957-5604, extension 200, and visit dreamretire.com.
Investment advisory services offered through Virtue Capital Management, LLC, VCM, and Registered Investment Advisor. VCM and Secured Financial Solutions, LLC are independent of each other. Annuities are insurance products, backed by the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the insuring insurance company. Information provided is not intended as tax or legal advice and should not be relied on as such. You are encouraged to seek tax or legal advice from an independent professional.
Welcome to Arrowhead BMW. Welcome to luxury. Here we strive to excel at the art of hospitality. We're more than just vehicles on a lot. Let us be your hosts for a premium and transparent shopping experience designed to respect and value your time. Featuring a luxurious showroom, exquisite customer lounges, and a state-of-the-art service department with employees skilled in customer excellence. Arrowhead BMW, the ultimate luxury experience.
If you're selling your home and want thousands of ready home buyers to view it, put your home on OurNiceHomes.com. That's OurNiceHomes.com. Or call 480-776-5231.
Chesko with Your Money Now. U.S. stocks remain well into the red in the session's final hour. The Dow Industrial's down about 120 points. The NASDAQ Composite has slid 113. The S&P is down 24. Oil futures fell again today. November crude dipped 50 cents to settle at $55.91 a barrel. Ending a 6-month search, Wells Fargo today named Charles Scharf as its new chief executive, effective October 21st. Scharf has been CEO of Bank of New York Mellon the last 2+ years. Wells Fargo is still battling to recover from a fake account scandal at the bank 3 years ago. The announcement of Scharf's appointment today sent Wells Fargo shares up more than 3.5%. The rock band Foo Fighters surprised fans by dropping a new 5-song EP this morning. The record, curiously titled 01070725 and available on all major streaming platforms, includes live covers of Arcade Fire's Keep the Car Running and Dead Kennedy's Holiday in Cambodia, plus 3 demos or B-sides from a 2007 album. That's Your Money Now.
I'm Nick Soboleski, a Select Quote agent with a true story that could save you hundreds of dollars a year. A woman named Linda just called. Her husband, Ray, has a $300,000 group life insurance policy, but is changing jobs and can't take it with him. Well, I shopped the many highly rated term life insurance companies we represent, like Prudential and Mutual of Omaha, and found Ray, who is 41 and takes medication to control his cholesterol, A 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $27 a month. That's almost twice the coverage for less than half of what he had paid. If SelectQuote hasn't shopped for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote, call 800-507-2266. That's 800-507-2266. 800-507-2266. Or go to SelectQuote.com. Since 1985, we shop, you save.
Get full details on the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Or price could vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress HomeCare Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. You're listening to Health Futures, taking stock in you. I'm your host, Bob Roth. We're in our second half here. If you're just tuning in, we're coming at you live from the Money Radio studios. And it is September 27th, the last Friday of September. And I would be remiss if I didn't talk about Fall Prevention Month. And actually today we have Stand Up and Fall Symposium going on at First Christian Church down at 6750 North 7th Avenue. If you get a chance, you might want to go down there. But the reason why we talk about falls prevention, it is something that we can avoid. The crazy thing, and I failed to introduce Kent Dix. He's in the studio here with me, a fifth-time guest.
No problem.
He's from Life 365 Inc. But the challenge that we have, Kent, is that 75% of the ER and urgent care visits by 65-plus people are from falls.
Right.
And if we can eliminate falls, we can save a lot of lives. If you're 85 or older, if you take a fall, statistically, 50% of them will die within the first year. So, I mean, it's something that's avoidable. We need to be cognizant of it. We need to figure out how we can keep people upright. And a lot of it, believe it or not, boils down to modesty. People don't want to use a walker. They don't want to use a cane. They don't want to use a wheelchair. But you know, if you don't and you need assistive devices, you're going to find yourself in an ER or urgent care.
Yeah, I know that. I actually think both of us are sitting on, opposite sides or on this, maybe even the same side of fall prevention, right, or leading up to a fall. I know, I always go back to my mom. I know when I visited Ottumwa, Iowa 2 weeks ago where my mom and dad live, when they live in independent living, the first thing I walk in to do, and mom's on oxygen, and she's got a big cord that's going around the house, and from the oxygen system, that regenerator, that
concentrator. I used to
there
sell those.
There you go. Okay,
yeah.
It's not my DME business, but the thing is to make sure that they don't have anything that can trip and fall, and they constantly do. They want to put things around them because they're hard to, reach up and get it and everything else, and then it starts becoming down by their legs and stuff. But on my side of the equation, when we're doing remote patient monitoring, and even when we talk about Generation 3 that has like patches and wearables, part of the thing that actually leads to falls or leaning from that is dehydration, right, is one of them. Mm-hmm. Medication or lack of medication, adherence, is another part of it as well.
And we talked about it earlier today, alcohol.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, seniors consume alcohol.
Right.
And, some of them, go to these happy hours.
Right.
Some of them start at 12 o'clock.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm sitting here because I think you and I are going, as we get older, are going to want, to live, like we want to live, right? I keep on saying life on our terms. We don't want people around us to tell us what to do. We just don't want that. People know that alcohol is causes problems and potentially falls, and lack of medication adherence does it, and dehydration does it as well. But we want to be companions to help with that, right? If there is issues, right? We don't want to be in people's faces,
right.
But we want to go through and gently nudge people and go, you may want to sit down right now, right? Instead of like warning Will Robinson, with all these alerts that are going off, and telling your daughter that, that they're going to fall and stuff, just ask them to sit down, right?
Or you talked about a nudge.
Yeah.
And I know that you have a wearable that is coming that could do just that.
Yeah, those are the things that we're working on. They're in our R&D and our labs that are out there. I call them our skunk works. Of putting little tiny wearables. I call it actually a careable, right? Because it's a wearable in healthcare. More slanted towards trying to get hydration, stress, movement, medication adherence, compliance with little tiny icons, but also it has, wireless technology on it, like near field or RFID technology on it to be able to talk to rapid diagnostics that we've talked about before that, are going to move from the doctor's office to the pharmacist, to the retail shelf to home. And we need to be prepared for those rapid diagnostics, those great things that are coming out of ASU and Mayo Clinic and other places out there that may be, putting in a single sample of urine or blood, but being able to get multiple tests out of one test, one strip. So like when we're dealing with, chronic kidney disease patients, people that maybe are having troubles with their kidneys, can we give them disposable tests that can do at home, just like glucose strips, right? But it can look at creatinine levels or BNP levels or GFR levels or other levels that are out there to be able to send little tiny bits of data to the cloud, drive it through our artificial intelligence system, and go through and say, maybe you need to check in on Kent, right? His levels look maybe a little bit not normal, right, from that. So we want to try to be as least intrusive as possible, but we want to be there, right, for people to live independently and give them the tools and their families the tools to live independently.
You've said a lot of great things, and one thing that we haven't really unpacked is the fact that the cost of care continues to skyrise. Right. And you talked about it, I think, in the first segment, that not everybody can afford to live into an assisted living home or one of these fancy independent living communities or CCRCs here, and home is where they want to be. So, we have to figure out as a society and as an economy and as a government, how do we make care affordable in home? We know, and I've said it several times here today, we see a world where home is going to be the center of care. But for life caregiving, like what Cypress does, that comes with a cost. And Medicare doesn't pay for it. Now they're saying Medicare Advantage will pay for it, but it'll be a limited amount. Mm-hmm. Medicaid will pay for it because it will pay for those that don't have, and you are on the Medicaid program in our state, it's access. But for the most part, it's private pay or long-term care insurance. Right. So how do we deliver care? And I see a world where it's going to be families, and maybe going back to the nuclear family, where, sons, daughters, nieces, nephews, spouses are there to help, but also with life caregiving from a company like Cypress HomeCare, but all the stuff that you're doing. Right. Incredible innovation and technology, and I love having you here on the show, and it's hard to believe we're down 3 segments. So what I want to do in the last segment is I want to talk to you about what you see in the future for 2020 and beyond. And I know that when you were last on with Susan Quartz, and you were on with that person from
Christina Noble from
Sonora Quest, you talked about some of the things that you were doing and seeing at CES, and it's hard to believe it, but October 1st is next week, and CES will be here before you know it, and new and innovative stuff is going to be shared.
Right.
By the way, you and I are from the same generation?
Yep.
Who is this?
Elton John? Just kidding.
No, The Who.
Yeah, I know.
And it's not Teenage Wasteland, it's Bob O'Reilly.
There you go.
Third segment going out with The Who. You've been listening to Health Futures, taking stock in you. I got Kent Dix in the studio. Stick around. Fourth segment's coming right up. Good.
Hi, I'm Certified Financial Planner Nancy Fleming, and did you know a fellow woman named Elizabeth Maggie created the Landlord's Game to help her friends feel the unfairness of land grabbing while having fun? Like most women, we have a more encompassing attitude about our world. We approach our financial well-being as a means to an end. We ask more questions. We match our investment choices closely with our goals. That's how I do it. If that's how you do it, then accept this invitation for my complimentary voluntary retirement roadmap by calling 480-632-8770. Elizabeth's game was changed to Monopoly. Keep your game true by calling me, Nancy Fleming, at 480-632-8770 or text the word RETIRE to 33222. That's the word RETIRE to 33222.
Fleming Financial Services, Inc. is a registered investment advisor offering advisory services in the state of Arizona and in other jurisdictions where exempt registrations does not imply a certain level of skill or training.
Have you ever heard the phrase, he or she who hesitates is lost? Never has it been more relevant than in today's real estate market. Hi, Joe Capitano here, Senior Vice President of Homeowners Financial Group. Rates are rising fast. Home prices in some areas are still rising and stalling in others. If you need to purchase a home, do it now. If you need to sell a home, do it now. If you need equity out of your home, do it now. I've been in this market over 35 years, so I've been through this a time or two, and it can be painful. I've got the experience to see you through it and find ways to soften the effect of those rate hikes. Call me. Let's get a strategy. Joe Capitano, 480-305-8545, 480-305-8545, or just go to joeloans.com. Banker number 0906222, NMLS number 98826, Equal Housing Lender. Joe Capitano, 480-305-8545.
Dell's semi-annual sale saves businesses up to 45% on computers with Intel Core processors. Just call 877-BUY-DELL, that's 877-BUY-DELL, or visit Dell.com/business deals.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress Home Care Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. You're listening to Health Futures, taking stock in you. We're starting our fourth segment, always with a little lover boy. Working for the weekend, right, Kent?
Yep, absolutely.
And if you're just tuning in, I got Kent Dix here in the studio. He is with Life 365, Inc., and we've been talking about delivering care in the home. That is where everybody wants to be. Both of us see a world where home will be the center of care. And Life 365, they're out there doing it. They're, quote unquote, a disruptor, so to speak. We want to get people out of acute and post-acute settings and get them back home. I was sharing with you at the break the average number of days that somebody stays in a skilled nursing facility before discharging home is 56 days.
Yeah, it's insane.
It is absolutely insane. And, I was just in front of some folks from Mayo. The average days that people are in the hospital now is 2.3 days.
Right.
2.3 days, and, they're discharging people so fast out of hospitals because it costs so much money. So where do they send them? They send them to a skilled nursing facility. Right. And they could do so much better at home. And all the reasons that you said when we opened up, you never know what you're going to pick up in one of those hospitals.
Right.
And then, not to mention what you're going to pick up in a skilled nursing facility.
Right.
And the biggest ones that you pick up are, C. diff and MRSA. I mean, those are nasty illnesses. So likelihood of getting that at home is next to nil.
It's less, a lot less, right?
Yes,
right.
Absolutely. So when we ended our last segment, I really wanted to spend some time with you, and we probably have about 6 or 7 minutes to really talk about where do you see the future? CES is coming up in a few months, and you are really thinking outside the box. I mean, remote patient monitoring is where we are going. But as you said, we don't want to make it creepy. We don't want to let our children know how many times we're opening up the refrigerator or how many times we're going to pee. But what do you see?
It's interesting. Now I'm going to take remote patient monitoring to the next level, right? So is
it number 4?
No.
We're going to stay 3.
It's going to be a wrapper that goes around it, right?
Okay.
So you have, remote patient monitoring 1, 2, and 3. 3 is disposable, patches and everything else with it. 2 is wireless technology. But to be able to allow it to scale across a large population of patients, I truly believe you can't just show up to an insurance company or to a hospital like Mayo and go, here, implement this program. It's got to be with integrated services, right? So it's got to be with coaches and navigators that go home and be able to connect and monitor. It's got to solve the logistics problem. It's got to integrate into the doctor's clinical workflow and their records, right? So everything's got to come together on a common offering, a common platform, which we call an integrated health solution. And it is allowing for people that work with us, clients that work with us, and we actually don't sell directly to the end consumer. The end consumer use our solutions. We actually sell to the people that are financially responsible for the patients and their care, right, to do that. And
so you're talking about institutions? Are you talking about doctors' practices? Hospitals?
Hospitals, home health care.
And you mentioned AMR.
Payers.
Ambulance companies too.
Yeah, so they're part of our integrated health solution. So when we go through, AMR Ambulance is a great partner for us because, all of our clients seem to be wanting to solve a problem and turn this 18-wheeler around, on a speeding highway, right, and change tires at the same time, which is called healthcare. And try to, go a different direction because they see Amazon's going to invest $500 billion into healthcare. They have the opportunity to disrupt, right, the marketplace, the healthcare marketplace. And God bless, people call me a disruptor. I think Amazon's the disruptor. I think I'm an accelerator, right, that allows for healthcare changes to go into effect quicker, right, and more seamlessly. So if you look at large distribution houses that, I don't know if you know about CVS and Walmart and Walgreens and all those and their pharmaceutical, their pharmacies, they get their drugs from McKesson and AmerisourceBergen and Cardinal Health and all those, right? And all of those are on margins that are like 2%, right? 1%, 2%, 3%. They see somebody like Amazon coming into the place and they're going to go through and say those margins are going to be threatened. We need to do something different. Mm-hmm. We can't just sell products anymore out of our warehouse. We've now got to turn that product, that glucose strip, into data that allows us to form a long-term relationship with our customers and be able to sell services. So instead of just selling glucose strips out there, now I'm going through and helping manage you as a diabetic and provide services to you. So AMR is like that. They are going through and constantly just taking people to the emergency room or the hospital. But now it's different for them. They want to go through and say, I'm not going to always send somebody to the hospital, pick you up in an ambulance, take you to the hospital. I'll send an Uber, a Lyft out there if it's non-emergent, right, to take you where you need to go. Maybe it's a social situation. Or I can actually send a nurse navigator or a fast response team out to your home, stabilize you, connect you with Life 365 equipment, remember those 300 different devices that we interface to, and then connect you to the monitoring center at AMR to allow you to be able to be monitored by a healthcare professional. And if there needs to be more services, they can actually go out and connect you to MD Live or Teladoc or Doctor on Demand or others that are out there as well to get you a live doctor that's communicating with you remotely, right, to do that. One thing that's interesting as part of our platform we're working with is really great vendors, and one of them is a company called TytoCare. TytoCare comes out of Israel, and it's a little tiny device where you can actually give it to a new mom, and you can allow them to have two-way video to a doctor remotely, telemedicine, which we talked about, right? And be able to see in the baby's ear and the throat and the nose and take their temperature and listen to the heart rate, right, and do a stethoscope. And it's been rumored that a very large health system here in the U.S. is going to hand out hundreds of thousands of these to their new moms.
Wow.
Instead of building new hospitals. I have this conversation all the time with CEOs of health systems, and I say, are you going to spend another $500 million on a campus, right, for a hospital system? Or are you now going to see the home as an extension of your health system? And they're like, we're going to do that. But healthcare doesn't move quickly.
Right.
And it's an evolution to get there. But what's pushing healthcare now, Amazon's pushing to come in $500 billion. Aetna was acquired by CVS. Walmart will acquire a payer. Best Buy will acquire a payer and have Best Buy Health.
They did great call, so
right.
Why not?
Apple has Apple Health that's out there as well. CVS Health, Walgreens Health. And then the health systems themselves are now starting to acquire insurance companies and directly insure patients that are out there. So I think you're going to see us moving into a value-based organization from a fixed fee, which means every time you go see your doctor gets paid. Now it's going to be the doctor now owns you, and you get paid for taking care of Bob, right? And whatever it costs to take care of Bob, that's for you, right, to do. We just give you one fee to kind of take care of Bob out there. And, that's acceptable to some and that's not acceptable to others. But the healthcare system is wanting from a payment perspective for physicians in the healthcare system to be somewhat accountable for a patient's care and not just paying for the same treatment over and over and over again.
You use the word accelerator, and and I think it's a great description, Kent, because you're not disrupting. You are an accelerator. But one of the things that you mentioned, too, you talked about integration. And, there's a lot of physician practices and a lot of healthcare systems that call themselves integrated healthcare systems, and integrated physician practices. But you're talking about integrating some stuff at home. And, all the stuff is there, everything you've just described.
Yep.
How do we pull it all together? Because, nothing hasn't been discovered yet. All the things you're talking about are there. We just need to bring it all together into a package, so to speak, right?
Well, now that we turn this into commercial, it's actually Life 365 that pulls it together, right?
That's why I pulled you
Thank
in
you.
here.
Thanks for feeding me on that.
That was a shameless plug for you. So
thank you. But that is obviously what we're doing, right? We're looking at what's in my mom and dad's home. What can we leverage? If I send them a box of technology, mom and dad will take the technology out and play with the box, right? Or they'll take the bag and use it as a shopping bag to go to the supermarket as well. It's got to be stuff that engages them, right? And on their terms. The smart TV is a great place for us to get to, right? 10 years ago, we didn't have wireless connectivity really going into a lot of seniors' homes or smartphones. But now with smart TVs, and they're cutting the cable and they're getting Hulu or Netflix.
When are they going to put cameras on them, though? Because it's so close. Why wouldn't they throw a camera on there?
Yeah, there's some legal issues around it as well, right? They go with it, but
because your stuff would work perfectly if you had a smart TV and a camera. You could have that teledoc type, if you would,
right? Having
conversations and engaging.
Well,
with
why
consumers.
don't you put the Connect system on for gamification and see what movement and gaits they're walking, right? As well.
Wow.
Right from that to make sure, and people have done that.
You're freaking me out.
No, so.
You know what? We're at the end. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
I got to have you back for a sixth time. I'll have the jacket next time.
There you go. Good.
You've been listening to Health Futures, taking stock in you. We'll be back next Friday. Thank you, Kent Dix from Life 365 Inc.
There's no place like home. You've been listening to Bob Roth's Health Futures. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call Cypress HomeCare Solutions at 602-264-8009. That's 602-264-8009. Or visit CypressHomeCare.com. Be sure to join Health Futures with Bob Roth every Friday at noon, right here on Money Radio 1510 and 105.3 FM.
It's happening. Wherever plays are being made, tickets are being sold, and fans are lining up. ADP is designing a better way to work with industry-leading